Greensboro, Georgia for a Sun Belt Saturday night. It's the rivalry, not rivalry game as the Georgia State Panthers have traveled south from Atlanta to take on the Georgia Southern Eagles. And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by Danny Waugh. And Danny, the debate has raged on all week as to whether this is a rivalry or not. Regardless of that, both these teams still have a lot to play for tonight.
That's right. Georgia State coming in tonight with incredible momentum. They've won their last two games, while Georgia Southern, even though they've lost their last two games, they have had 16 days rest to prepare for the Panthers tonight. They are well rested and ready to go here tonight in Statesboro.
Danny, you're right. It has been more than 2 weeks since the Eagles lost to South Alabama. Coming out of that game, the coaching staff says, we want to play a lot faster than we did that night. It all starts with their running game and senior running back Logan Wright.
That's right. Logan Wright going to take a majority of the carries for Georgia Southern tonight. With J.D. King out for today's game, he's going to be the one getting most of the carries. The Eagles do have a deep running back room with Gerald Green and Jalen Wright making strides over the last few games. But Wright will lead the running game, and with 16 days rest, he's itching for some big runs against the Panthers.
Meantime, the Georgia State defense has improved significantly since their first two losses this season. Starts with their linebacker, Blake Carroll.
It seems like Carroll has made strides in the Panthers' last two wins against Louisiana Monroe and Texas State. He's also top 10 in the Sun Belt Conference, averaging 7.3 tackles per game. And he's going to have eyes on the running game for Georgia Southern. Look for Carroll to have a big game for Georgia State tonight.
It's the Georgia State Panthers and the Georgia Southern Eagles. It's the 8th all-time meeting between, dare we say, these in-state rivals. Opening kick is coming up next. You're watching the Sun Belt Conference on ESPN as we welcome you back to Paulson Stadium. Georgia State, Georgia Southern getting ready to kick here on this night before Halloween. Sean Elliott knows all about this rivalry dating back to his days at App State.
And he said this is a rivalry for him, and the biggest thing for the Panthers over the last two games have been confidence. They've been gaining confidence, and a lot of confidence has been in their defense. They deferred to start the first half, so they're going to be on defense to begin, and Coach Elliott said that's not cockiness. They've just been gaining confidence as of late.
And Kevin Whitley in his 4th game as the interim head coach of the Eagles and looking to even up his record at 2-2 here tonight.
He mentioned the biggest challenge for this team is going to be for themselves, not about the opposing team. It's about them. They've said they need to step it up here going into Georgia State, and with 2 weeks to prepare, we'll see how it goes for Georgia Southern.
Eagles at 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the Sun Belt. Panthers at 3-4 overall, and 2-1 in the Sun Belt. The Panthers could be back in a 3-way tie for first place atop the Sun Belt East before the night is over. Of course, Coastal's already at 3-1. App on the verge of being 3-1. Big lead on ULM in the second half. Panthers would have to win here tonight to pull into a tie with those two teams. Michael Hayes has teed it up, and Caleb Hood is standing deep for the Eagles and will take it 2 yards deep in the end zone. And Hood weaves his way through the coverage, out across the 30, and tackled by Lewis out close to the 35-yard line. A great return by Caleb Hood.
Already you see the intensity for Georgia Southern. Normally they would have kneeled that and just taken it out, but Caleb Hood wanted to get going, and a good start for Georgia Southern. We'll see what the offense does.
So they've spotted the ball at the 36, and that's where the Eagles go on offense, led by their 4th-year junior quarterback, Justin Tomlin, out of Southwest DeKalb in Decatur.
The big thing for Tomlin is that he's had plenty of time to rest. Offensive coordinator Doug Ruth said that he's been beat up, so he's been healthier than he's been in a long time. We'll see how that plays out in the first series.
Yeah, Danny at 5'11", 190 pounds, and a running quarterback in college football, you're going to take a beating. They're going to run option here and pitch to Gerald Green, and Green's going to pick up a couple of yards up to the 39-yard line.
The coaching staff for Georgia Southern has always mentioned Gerald Green just making improvements game in and game out, takes the pitch from Tomlin and goes to the outside. 3-yard plays are what the Eagles want to see on first down.
You know, and that's exactly right. You asked Coach Whitley, who's the guy who stood out to you so far this season, getting better every week, and that's Gerald Green getting the start here tonight. Wright now in there at running back, and Tomlin on a short run up to the 41-yard line. Gets stuffed by Javon Dennis. And a couple of his buddies up there in front, including the linebacker Jashawn Taylor.
This is going to be a unique game for Georgia Southern facing Georgia State's 3-4 defense. Georgia Southern runs the same 3-4 defense, so they're familiar with it in practices leading up to today.
Good look at center Logan Langmeyer there. Leads the Eagles offensive line in career starts. 3rd down and 4. Swing pass out here to Logan Wright. Makes a man miss. And then he's going to get stuck by Lane, the safety, at the 41, and will not pick up the first down. And Tavius Lane, the safety for the Panthers, came up from the secondary to stop Wright before he could pick up the first down.
Redshirt sophomore from West Palm Beach. Just look at the way he sticks Logan Wright. Wright was able to break one tackle, but Lane right there to make a big stop, and Georgia Southern going to have to punt.
So Anthony Beck is on to kick for the Eagles, standing at his 28. And Quavian White is deep for the Panthers, standing at the 10. And Beck's punt going to hit at the 20 and end up rolling about 9 yards. So the Panthers' first offensive possession will start at the 11-yard line, and that's after we come back. Back in Statesboro on a blustery Saturday night. Danny, let's take a look at your keys to victory.
We'll see what the Panthers do in their first series on offense, being able to handle the ball and have good quarterback play. Darren Granger has been off to a great start the last couple of games for the Panthers, and we'll see what he does.
So the Panthers starting from the 11-yard line, and there is Darren Granger, transfer from Furman. Gonna run it and then throw it out there complete along the sideline, and Sam Pinckney, who's been injured most of the season, gets an early touch in this game.
10th reception on the year. I'm actually surprised that Granger decided to dump that one out. He had plenty of space up front. We got Anthony Wilson right there, so wise decision to get it out, and the Panthers get a first down.
So 1st and 10, and Pinckney again. So Pinckney apparently a lot healthier than he has been, the all-conference wide receiver. 2 touches on the first 2 snaps of the game. 2nd down as the Panthers playing with tempo here. See Granger's numbers coming into tonight, 11 passing touchdowns, over 1,000 yards of offense. And Gregg right up the middle. Tucker Gregg first down at the 46-yard line, and the Panthers run quickly up to the line of scrimmage.
We talked about how Georgia Southern has a deep running back room, but Georgia State has a couple of guys that they can go to in the running game as well.
Granger whips it out to the far side. Pinckney again. So it's pretty obvious they want Pinckney involved in the game plan. That's 3 touches on the first 4 snaps.
You also have to remember with Georgia Southern running a 3-4 defense, Georgia State sees that every day in practice against their defense.
2nd down, 4. And Tucker Gregg going to get stonewalled at the 46-yard line by Michael Edwards, one of the freshman inside linebackers that have won the starting jobs here in Statesboro.
Keep an eye on Edwards and number 46, Eldrick Robinson. Both of them freshmen. Both of them have stepped up so much since starting over the last month for the Eagles. C.J. Wright getting involved on the tackle too.
And both of them in on that tackle. 3rd down and 2. Panthers 41% on their 3rd down so far this season. Gregg got stopped in the backfield. Great penetration by the Eagles defense, and Justin Ellis out of Roswell, Georgia High School makes the stop, gets the TFL, and it's going to be 4th down.
Before the snap, Georgia State tried to get Georgia Southern to jump off side, but it wasn't phasing the outside linebackers. Ellis, a tremendous job really breaking through on the left side to blow that play up in the back.
And Ellis has had a breakthrough season. You talk to Scott Sloan, the DC, and he says Ellis has been one of the bright spots at that defensive end position. Michael Hayes on the punt for the Panthers. Kicks it away from Hood. And then Hood is going to let it roll and finally downed at the 9-yard line. And that's where the Eagles will go on offense for a second time this evening.
Both punts from Anthony Beck for Georgia Southern and Michael Hayes for Georgia State getting an extra friendly bounce at the very end. So that'll put Georgia Southern all the way deep at the 10. We'll see how they do coming out. Scratch that, make it close to the 11, I believe. Excuse me, the 9.
Eagles ran 3 plays, gained 7 yards on their opening possession. And now Justin Tomlin back out there. He was 1 of 1 passing and ran it once for 3 yards on that opening possession. To Hood, has a man to beat. And Brown could not get him on the ground, but Chris Bacon, the safety, did.
Good misdirection from the Eagles O-line. Everyone was shifted right, blocking towards the right, and you had that one open man in Hood on the left. There's one-on-one, a man to beat, trying to get past Brown.
And Chris Moore, I said Chris Bacon, Chris Moore made that tackle instead. So 2nd down and 2. Tomlin stands in there, delivers downfield. It's complete at the 36. Amari Jones with the first down catch.
Amari Jones, a man of many hats for Georgia Southern. He started the season playing quarterback. He's listed as one of the running backs, but moved out to the slot receiver position and found plenty of space downfield, plenty of time for Tomlin in the pocket before he got hit, but gets it off in time. Big game for the Eagles.
Jones, the transfer from Tulane, has been an invaluable tool for the Eagles offense this season. So 1st and 10 from the 39. That's Jones in motion. Going to run some option with him, and instead, the keeper by Tomlin, he gets stopped in his tracks by Thomas and Dennis.
That play, the linebackers were all reading the running backs and mentioned that with Blake Carroll and how he's going to be a big piece of the Panthers' defense, and only a gain of about 2 yards for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, Jashawn Taylor and Javon Dennis in on that tackle for the Panthers, and it's going to be 2nd down and 8. Again, an option play, and Lane comes up and levels Tomlin. And that's why Tomlin's beat up. When you play the quarterback position in an option offense like the Eagles run, you better be a tough dude.
Montavious Lane right here, just wow, what a big hit. That's a second big hit in the first quarter for Lane. This defense is playing with a lot of confidence in the first quarter, and we touched on that earlier.
3rd down and 6. Ball from the 43, line to gain is the 49. Halfway through the first quarter. Tomlin stands in the pocket, clean pocket. Great catch by Amari Jones across the 35-yard line.
That's the big thing for Tomlin. He keeps on having enough time in the pocket to get the ball out in time, and the Eagles have gone to both their slot receivers so far in the first couple of drives. First, Caleb Hood, now Amari Jones, another big catch. Another first down for the Eagles.
Coming out of the 16-day break since the South Alabama game, you naturally asked Doug Roos any wrinkles, any changes, and he said, look, in 16 days, it's hard to change things in the offseason, much less 16 days, but they've opened things up a little bit here in this first quarter. Late pitch goes to Logan Wright, gets shoved out of bounds by Blake Carroll.
It's hard just in general to change things when you're already towards the middle of the season trying to finish off on a high note, and with the Eagles losing their last 2 games, it's natural to try and make some changes, but for the Eagles offense, it's all about just resting up a couple of guys and getting them prepared for that final stretch.
Logan Wright again, straight up the middle, bulls his way down to the 20-yard line.
We spoke about Logan Wright as being a big power back at 6 foot 230. It's going to be hard for Georgia State to tackle him throughout the game.
Leading rusher on this Georgia Southern team, 5th in the conference in yards per game. Over 70 yards rushing per game. And as Danny mentioned off the top, no J.D. King tonight. They're resting that knee, so probably an extra load for Logan Wright. RPO, fires in the middle, popped up in the air, intercepted at the 13-yard line by Blake Carroll. And Carroll brings it back out across the 20-yard line. And there is a flag down on the field at the 28. Wayne Winkler is our referee. Let's see what the call is going to be.
While the officials discuss the flag on the play, it's a great job by the Panthers defense, and there you already see Blake Carroll coming up with the interception.
During the interception return, personal foul, illegal block below the waist on the passing team, number 56. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play, first down.
So that's on the Eagles offensive lineman, Brian Miller. And that's just unfortunate for Georgia Southern. That's the 6th interception for Tomlin this season. He made a great throw. I mean, the Eagles have done a great job trying to progress the ball downfield in the passing game, but a great breakup by the Panthers, and Carroll just waited for the ball to come down and came down with it.
Panthers defense, 3rd interception, their 9th takeaway of the season.
And Lane right there actually got a piece of it on the coverage, and then Carroll, you see right there at the end of the play, Miller with the below-the-leg block, resulting in the 15-yard penalty.
And Kevin Whitley out there yelling at the officials, trying to get their attention. Obviously, he didn't like the call, so the Panthers have it 1st and 10 at their own 38 following the interception. Panthers went 42 yards on 6 plays in their first possession. This is their second. Granger has a pocket, delivers downfield, and had 2 men in the same spot. Robert Lewis and Aubrey Payne, the tight end.
They have overthrown at that time, but Granger, so much time in the pocket. That explains why he's played so well for Georgia State. 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, almost 800 yards in the air.
Danny, probably a safe bet when you've got 2 wide receivers within feet of each other that somebody's run the wrong route. So 2nd down and 10. Quick pass to Payne, the tight end, and Anthony Wilson, the safety, comes up and sticks him right in his tracks.
That was all Georgia Southern secondary on that play. Tyler Bride, the cornerback, put pressure on Granger. He was able to dump it out in time, but Wilson right there staying with the intended guy in Aubrey Payne.
3rd down and 10. Panthers 0 for 1 on 3rd down conversions today. Granger steps up and fires a bullet that's broken up at the 48-yard line. Cradle was the intended target, and Anthony Wilson making a 2nd big play in that series.
Granger really tried to force that ball in just to create something on 3rd down. He had enough time in the pocket, but a little bit of pressure there. Wilson was there covering him, and he had an extra man for Georgia Southern surrounding him.
So 4th down and 10. Caleb Hood stands at his 21 to receive the kick, and Michael Hayes stands at the 23 to kick it. Spinning kick hits at the 31 and will roll dead at the 25, and that's where the Eagles will go on offense for a 3rd time. And we'll step aside and take a timeout as they do come on the field. Justin Tomlin 4 for 5, 55 yards, but did throw that interception, Danny. As you mentioned, on that last series, tried to force it.
It's been a great defensive matchup throughout the first 2 series for each team. Tomlin has been moving the ball well. This is an unfortunate pop-up, the way that ball was deflected on the 1 incompletion that resulted in a pick.
How about this? The Eagles have actually thrown for more yards than the Panthers so far in this game, 55-19. 2 big completions to Amari Jones, and that's Jalen White, who gets his first carry of the game. Dante Wilson, the nose guard, making the tackle for the Panthers.
Wilson was there, and you saw Carroll at the very end make a stop. Jalen White was one of the running backs you mentioned at the top of the broadcast to get some extra carries with the absence of King.
So Wright, Green, and White have all gotten carries so far. And Tomlin's run it 3 times as well. Logan Wright, big hold off right tackle. And Wright's going to make his way up to the 34, be about a yard short of the first down.
Here's where the chippiness gets in between both teams.
The officials trying to quell the uprising here and finally pushing the Panthers player away, and the flag does get dropped. So somebody's going to get penalized here. It'll be interesting to see if one person or will it be the offsetting penalty.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 44. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's
That is
Jeffrey
number
Clark.
44's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey Clark. It looked like they'd settled things down, and then he stepped in and kept forcing the issue, and that's when the flag came out, and you see he's getting a talking to on the sideline.
When stuff like that happens on the field, you have to assume that this is a rivalry. At least we know for Georgia State it's a rivalry. You saw that with Clark, but now that the game is going on, you have to keep your emotions in check and play the game.
So 1st and 10 for the Eagles at the 49-yard line, their own 49. That'll be the 4th first down of the game for the Eagles. Bo Johnson, the tight end, in motion in front of the quarterback. And Logan Wright gets the handoff. Benzial got him on the ankles, and he still falls forward for an additional 2 yards on the play as Wright gets 6.
See how the hole opens up for Wright. Great block up front. Just gets through. Offensive coordinator Doug Roos mentioned that the team needed to play faster and more physical throughout the night.
2nd down and 4, and one of the ways they did that, Kevin Whitley in practice, they were going full pads on Tuesdays, which typically you don't see happening during the regular season, but they went full pads. They had some competitions, ones-on-ones and competitions for starting jobs. Wide open, Logan Wright behind the defense, finally caught at the 5-yard line by Jalen Jones.
Great chase down tackle from Jones, but not to play. Georgia Southern runs a lot. They'll fake the handoff, and on play action, Tomlin plenty of time. He steps back, and that's a play that connects 9 out of 10 times, and a lot of the times results in a touchdown, but Jones made a save.
Big catch and run by Logan Wright. 1st and goal to go for the Eagles. Ball sitting on the 5. Wright follows his blocker, spins forward after being hit by the safety Chris Moore, and down to the 1.
One thing about Georgia Southern's offense, they always keep it between the tackles. That time they went right, the defense read it. Right, that time was trying to cut back in towards the left side to get a touchdown. Had the hole, but right there on the tackle once again is Lane.
Wright already with 69 yards of offense here in the first quarter of this game. Under 2 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Eagles a chance to take the lead here. Tomlin tosses to Wright, and Wright down to the 1. Jalen Jones, the corner, came up to make the stop, but it's inside the 1, and 3rd down and goal now.
Tomlin once again at the very last second pitched it out to Wright. It was the right decision as he was about to get tackled. You see here, you had a guy on him, and Deshaun Taylor. And Wright was just about a few inches short of a touchdown.
3rd down and goal from the 1. Logan Wright got hit in the backfield and did not get in. Penetration from Hardrick Willis, the defensive end, and now decision time, Danny, on 4th down and goal.
It's 4th and 1, maybe even 4th and inches. The first quarter is supposed to come into a close, so I would say go for it. But look at that. Lane was right there. It was the right decision for Georgia Southern trying to punch it in when you have a running back that's 230 pounds, and the Eagles' offense is still out there. They're going to go for it.
4th and goal from the 1. Tomlin in trouble, takes a loss, and the ball's going to go over on downs as the Panthers come up with the goal line stop, and Javon Dennis with the TFL.
The Eagles offense wanted to make a statement going forward on 4th down, but the Panthers defense, as we talked about, confidence has been the key to their winning streak the last 2 games. They have shown up and shown out so far, and that's a big momentum swing right there for Georgia State.
So the Panthers take over at the 5-yard line.
On that play, Tomlin, it seemed like he wanted to try to dump it out in time, but there was just pressure, and he had nowhere to go. And you look down on the field, you know, you have the coaches out there talking to a lot of the players out by the 25 and the 30. Also have a couple of meetings on the sideline. Overall, a big stop. You see Sean Elliott having a word with the referee here.
That was funny. The referee was having a conversation, Wayne Winkler, with Sean Elliott, and it looked like the center, Malik Sumter, piped up and was saying something there, and Coach Elliott basically turned around and told him to be quiet. I'll handle this.
Oh, boy.
So the goal line stop by the Panthers on 4th and goal from the 1, and the 4-yard loss on the tackle by Javon Dennis will put the Panthers back out on offense here.
So now the big question will be, how will Georgia State respond on offense coming back out?
I think what's interesting is you look at these first quarter stats. The Eagles have 94 yards of passing to the Panthers 19. It's been 2 big completions to Amari Jones and another to Logan Wright that have really helped the Eagles move the ball here in the first 15 minutes.
I think it's more interesting that the Eagles have more passing yards than rushing yards. Known for being a dominant run team, they average 235 yards on the ground. Only 125 yards in the air, and they've almost matched that in just the first quarter.
You see Elliott going over there to slap pads with his defensive line that came up with that big stop.
Well, remember, Sean Elliott was a defensive lineman when he played, so he knows how important those guys up front are to leading the defense, and we've seen that throughout the first couple of series, especially on that 4th and goal play.
So Panthers go on offense here from the 5-yard line. Panthers coming off a 28-16 win against Texas State last Saturday, and they've won 2 in a row, one at ULM, and they've won 2 straight after starting the season 1-4. So Granger back in there taking the shotgun snap. Going to pass out of the end zone and fire across the middle. Got tipped and nearly intercepted. Jamari Thrash was the target, and a couple of the Eagles got their hands on the ball.
That play, Georgia State had a lot more down linemen up front, just 2 receivers out to give Granger enough time in the pocket. Now it's 2nd and 10.
Running a screen pass out there for Pinckney. 4th touch of the game for Pinckney as he steps out of bounds beyond the marker, and that'll be a first down.
The wide receiver screen has worked so far in the quarter for Georgia State. They do another one. That's always dangerous, but you have 2 blockers on the outside to give Pinckney enough room to move upfield.
Correction, he stepped out before the marker, so now it's going to be 3rd down and 1. And Jamias Williams got hit hard by the linebacker Eldrick Robinson, but I think he got the first down. And that's going to be the end of the first quarter. Danny, a fast-moving first quarter full of big defensive hits. Second quarter coming up in just a moment. Start of the second quarter in Statesboro. Expansion this week, Danny. 3 new teams added to the conference: Southern Miss, Old Dominion, and Marshall.
You know, every couple of years there's always a restructuring of some conference, and this year it's the Sun Belt. This is a big addition for those 3 teams, and there could be more on the way.
Granger throws complete to Thrash at the 20-yard line. Pick up a 4 on the play. And James Madison is the other school that reportedly will soon be joining the conference as well.
You look at last season where the Sun Belt Conference really put on a showcase of games all season long. It just shows that they're going to get stronger and better in the future.
2nd down and 6. Handoff goes Jamias Williams. He crashes out to the 25-yard line, about a yard short of the first down.
One more thing about the Sun Belt expansion. Can you imagine what that's going to do to the competition in the East and the West divisions? I mean, with Marshall and other teams,
well,
the East division is going to be strong.
The East division looks like Georgia Southern, Georgia State, App, Coastal, James Madison, ODU, and Marshall.
Yeah.
That's a tough division.
Yeah, Old Dominion faced Georgia Southern in the 2012 FCS playoffs, too. That's when Taylor Heineke was quarterback.
3rd down and 1. Heineke now the quarterback of the Washington football team. And Greg runs for the first down at the 27.
Great job by Ben Josue trying to take down Greg. You also had C.J. Wright really trying to blow things up at first, which gave Josue time to make the tackle.
So 1st and 10 as the Panthers pick up another first down. That gives them 4 in the game. Misdirection play. Jamias Williams trying to turn the corner. Anthony Wilson, the safety, came up and made a nice stop.
Greg and Williams, a great 1-2 punch for the Panthers running game. And that time Williams had the carry. He was able to get about 2 yards.
Going to bring up 2nd down and 8. Granger fires. That's complete to Pinckney at the 39-yard line, and that'll be another Panthers first down. So Pinckney now with 4 catches in this game.
A quick throw from Granger. You had Justin Ellis on the outside putting pressure on Granger. Got it out right at the last minute.
Ball spotted at the 37-yard line. Granger back to the air and overthrew his man, Jamari Thrash, who was behind the defense.
They're going to start with that play in the film room coming up. I mean, when you have nobody around Thrash, that's a catch you have to make, and that's a throw you have to make as well if you're Granger.
And that's one of the reasons why the Panthers had kind of seesawed back and forth on their starting quarterback. Quad Brown, who was their starter last year, began the season as the number 1, got replaced by Granger. Granger going to the air and fires, complete at the 47-yard line, and that's Terrence Dixon with his first catch of the game.
And Granger has improved throughout the year. Offensive coordinator Brad Glenn said that passing has been the key to growth during the season. And it seems the more Granger gets comfortable in the pocket, the more throws he's able to make for the Panthers.
And Granger, once he got the starting job, lost it again because he overthrew so many men in the Auburn game. And then ultimately the Panthers decided to lock in on one guy, make him the starter. Granger was the winner of that competition over Quad Brown.
That play was almost blown up in the back. You see Robinson untouched in the gap. And Greg was able to get past for a 4-yard gain.
2nd down and 6. Ball just across midfield for the Panthers. This drive started at the 5 after a goal line stand by the Georgia State defense. And Greg up the middle, inside the 40 and down to the 38. That was Michael Edwards making the tackle. We have a man down for the Eagles at the 46. That's C.J. Wright.
You see Wright here from behind. Oh! Reed Dedman was pushed into him. You saw the way that leg went.
So C.J. Wright down on his back will step aside. You see number 0, C.J. Wright right there, get hit on his left knee, and they had to help him off the field, Danny. He could not put any weight on it.
And that's going to be a big loss for Georgia Southern. C.J. Wright, one of the seniors and leaders for Georgia Southern, made a great impact as a nose tackle on the defensive line. Hopefully he's okay. We'll see how it goes going forward.
So 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Granger pump fake, looks the other way, now in trouble, and he is going to go down. Quarterback sack back at the 45-yard line by Kevon Glenn.
That play, Granger had time in the pocket, was scrambling out, and you see Glenn, wait for his moment. As Granger moved up, Glenn held on to him and took him down.
Second down and 15. Greg gets the handoff, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. Parker Devine, who just checked into the game for C.J. Wright, gets the TFL.
It's always the next man up. And right there, Parker Devine was ready. Stayed through, broke through, and took him down. That's his fourth tackle for loss.
3rd and 17. Granger going to load up and go deep, and incomplete as the ball sails out of bounds. Trying to connect with Jamari Thrash and Seth Robertson. Step-for-step coverage. It's 4th down.
Georgia Southern blitzed the middle linebackers late on that play, but Granger was able to get off in time, was trying to go for the home run ball. Just a tad outside, and it went out.
We played 20 minutes, partner. No score. Been a game of big defensive hits and stops so far.
Well, Georgia State's defense have been on point the last 2 games, and Georgia Southern's defense is well rested.
Hayes gonna end-over-end kick it down to the 8-yard line where Caleb Hood makes the fair catch, and that's where the Eagles will go on offense after this. Nightfall here in Statesboro, and kind of a spooky and eerie horizon here on Halloween Eve. App State with a big win over ULM, 59-28, and so the Mountaineers back in a first-place tie with Coastal atop the East. Georgia State can move into a tie with a win here tonight, but App State has the tiebreaker on both Coastal and Georgia State.
You talk about spooky. Appalachian State, a chance to potentially go to the Sun Belt Conference Championship again.
Gerald Green trying to circle the defense and get outside and can't do it finally as Chris Moore, the safety, came up to stop him.
That's always so dangerous when you have to turn around and try to keep the play alive on the other end. When you're back in your own end zone, luckily Green was able to get through.
And Danny, not only was he able to get through, he was able to get at least close to a yard, so 2nd down and 9. He was about to take a big loss. Justin Tomlin, 5 of 6, 94 yards passing, an interception. Caleb Hood in motion. Going to hand off instead to Gerald Green, and he's going to make it out to the 17 before being tackled by Blake Carroll.
They're sticking with Green here on 2nd down. You see Hood in motion, and there's plenty of space, an open gap for Green to run.
We talked about Blake Carroll and that Georgia State defense at the start of the game. He's got 4 tackles and an interception so far. And the Panthers use a timeout here. Danny, here's one of the changes since Kevin Whitley took over as the interim head coach. Doug Roos, the offensive coordinator, coming down from the press box and down on the sideline.
And when we spoke with head coach Kevin Whitley, he mentioned that he didn't want to make any major changes to the offense. He knows that Doug Roos has had success as offensive coordinator, especially in 2014 and 2015. He may make some suggestions here and there, but they're not going to make any overall changes to the offense.
141 yards of offense so far for the Eagles in this ball game, averaging 6.7 yards per play, and they've thrown for more yards than they've actually run so far as Gerald Green on the run picks up the 1st down.
You are seeing Antavius Lane everywhere in the first half for Georgia State. That's his 5th tackle. And it was a big tackle, too. You see Green able to get through, and Green was set to break off a big run, but Lane comes in at the end.
Lane's having himself a big first half, but it's 1st and 10 for the Eagles now with the ball at the 20. A little bit beyond it, close to the 21. Green again follows his blockers, and there's Antavius Lane again coming up from that safety spot to make his 6th tackle of the half.
Play was almost broken up. It's always so scary. You mentioned Halloween Eve. It's always so scary when you have a delayed handoff like that because you had 2 backers for Georgia State almost about to smack Justin Tomlin.
2nd down and 4, and Green on the carry. Makes it up to the 35, and that's another first down. That's first down number 7 for the Eagles.
They're really relying on Gerald Green right here. You want to give Logan Wright some rest, and you're going with the speedy running back in Green, able to break through the gap. A solid gain.
6 carries, 28 yards for Green here in the first half. Green again. Makes a man miss. Juked out Ja'Cory Crawford. This time Lane can't get the handle on him. And Green close to the first down with a big strong run.
You're always going to have your leaders on offense, but you always want to have your eyes on the future, looking at guys to get you through going forward, and that's what Gerald Green is for Georgia Southern. Watch this. Spins out of one tackle. Another man. Lane was there again. Almost had another tackle for the Panthers, but pure will from Green to stay on his feet.
This drive, 6 plays, 35 yards. Most of it on the back of Gerald Green. He goes to the sideline to catch his breath. 1st and 10 from the 43. Heavy rush, and Blake Carroll with the quarterback sack on Tomlin, who did not see him coming.
Wow. Tomlin had time in the pocket, too, and he seemed like he was just waiting for that receiver to get open at the last second. See him waiting, and look, Carroll comes in untouched.
Carroll is having himself a great senior season for the Panthers. Won the game ball in their 20-9 victory against Charlotte, their first win of the season. Big spectacular forced fumble when the 49ers were moving in to take the lead. Tomlin to the air. Hood runs under it all the way down to the 17-yard line.
Georgia State came in prepared to stop the running game, so what did the Eagles do? They go to the air. Plenty of time for Tomlin once again. One-on-one on the corner, and yeah, when you have open space like that from Hood, you got to throw it to him.
Tomlin now 6 for 7, 140 yards. The one incompletion was an interception. So 1st and 10 for the Eagles. Again, they try to take the lead with 5.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Now going to drop back and lob it. Wide open, Bo Johnson, touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Once again, the Eagles go and play action, this time in the red zone. Everyone's eyes were towards the left side of the field. And with those guys, you have White going left side and then plenty of space for Bo Johnson. He just walks it in at the end. And finally, here midway through the second quarter, we have our first score.
Nicely executed on the 17-yard touchdown pass. And Alex Rayner on for the PAT. Beck is the holder, Langston the snapper. 7-0 lead for Georgia Southern. Big game for Justin Tomlin here in the first half, and Bo Johnson with the touchdown grab puts the Eagles on top. While you see the embrace, J.D. King and C.J. Wright on the sideline. J.D. King, who suffered the season-ending knee injury last year, and you see the leg cast that is already on C.J. Wright's left leg after suffering an apparent knee injury here in the first half.
That's a hard thing to see if you're a Georgia Southern fan, especially all that what C.J. Wright has done. You see him on crutches. He can't put any weight on his leg. You don't want to speculate, but he could be out for a while.
Yeah, the Eagles have already had their share of season-ending injuries on the defensive side of the ball. In particular, Derek Canteen, the all-conference cornerback. They've taken hits on the defensive line and also in the linebacking corps.
Yeah, Todd Bradley Glenn suffered a season-ending injury before the year began toward his bicep, and you've had men on Georgia Southern's side step up throughout the year, and we saw Parker Devine make some plays as the nose tackle, and we'll see who else will step up for Georgia Southern going forward.
So a 7-0 lead for the Eagles as the Panthers now playing from behind, start at the 25-yard line, 1st and 10. Granger 7 of 12 in the first half, tries to whip it out quickly to Thrash, and nothing doing there. Tyler Bride, who stepped in after Canteen was hurt, making the play right there.
He has improved game after game. A lot of high praise from defensive coordinator Scott Sloan. Another quick drop pass. Robinson may have gotten away with a late hit. 2nd and 10.
Play action and complete at the 41-yard line. Sliding catch by Jamari Thrash, his second grab of the game.
He's got to work his way back after missing that potential touchdown catch.
Yeah.
So you got to start somewhere for Thrash, and it's a good one, a quick slant route.
Running a screenplay out there, and it got blown up right away by Tyler Bride. Bride saw what was coming and just beat the defenders on the block and made the tackle.
Well, they saw it a couple of times in the first quarter. It's only a matter of time before the defense catches up to it. That's just all will from Bride because you had 2 blockers out there trying to keep him at bay.
Including the right tackle, number 77, Jonathan Bass, who lined up in a wide receiver spot.
How often do you see that?
Didn't work. Jamias Williams right up the middle to the 49-yard line. That's going to be close to a first down.
Good blocking up front from Georgia State. It's an open gap, and Ben Hostway now down for the Eagles.
It's been a very physical game, a lot of big hits on defense. We've seen C.J. Wright leave. He's out for the rest of the game officially with a knee injury. And unfortunately, it looks like it could be longer than just one game.
So this is where Hostway may have gotten hurt going on the tackle. He gave a thumbs up to his teammates before he walked off, so hopefully we'll see Hostway back in the game later on.
So 3rd down and 2 coming up. Panthers 2 of 5 on 3rd down so far in this game.
It's about their average. They're 41% on 3rd down conversions this year.
Option, pitch goes to Williams, stopped in the backfield by Tyler Bride. What a big series by Tyler Bride. 3 big plays on this possession.
I was going to say, call it the Tyler Bride series for Georgia Southern's defense. Once again, you had that receiver come in, but the Eagles read it well, and Bride was right there on the stop.
Big set of downs by Tyler Bride, the sophomore out of Greater Atlanta Christian in Atlanta, to make the big plays against the Panthers, and now Georgia State has to punt again. Hayes standing at the 28, and Hood deep for the Eagles at the 15. And Hayes, spiraling kick that Hood calls fair catch for and makes at the 8-yard line, and that's where the Eagles go back on offense, playing with the lead, and just over 3 minutes to play here in the first half. And what a first half it's been, Danny, for Justin Tomlin. His 157 yards passing here after just not quite one half is his 3rd best single game total of the season.
Well, when we spoke with the Eagles offensive coordinator Doug Roos, he said that Tomlin was beat up and he just needed some time to rest. And with over 2 weeks to rest, recuperate, and prepare for your next game out, Tomlin looks like a new man out there.
Yeah, Tomlin has played well. He does have that 1 interception. That was just a poor decision on his part to try to force the ball into tight coverage.
Well, he said, Roos also said that he's taken a lot of abuse from the throwing game. He took a lot of hits against South Alabama after throwing the ball. Here tonight he's making more wise decisions.
Logan Wright on the carry, runs right into Blake Carroll and Hardrick Willis. That's a great point because naturally you think with an option type quarterback, the beat up part of it's going to come in the running game. And Coach Roos said actually it's come more because of lack of pass protection.
And they also said that he has more of a running back mentality, which can be a good thing, but you're seeing more of his patience in the pocket as a quarterback.
This is
quarterback
the best
mentality.
Yeah, this is the best game I've seen him have in the throwing game. 2nd down and 8. Wright following his blocker, and right up close to the 19-yard line, following the block of his right tackle, Caleb Kelly there. And it's going to be, I think, 3rd down and short. Nope, maybe he got the first. No, he did get the first down, just barely.
You see the blocking by the O-line. Caleb Kelly, a great block to give Wright some room, and now a flag on the play. It's going to be false start.
False start. Offense, all 11 players did not get set before the snap. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Everybody committed the penalty.
Yeah, you can't single out one guy.
Been a pretty clean first half penalty-wise. I'll knock on wood as I say that. That's just the 3rd penalty on the Eagles for 20 yards worth. And only one 15-yard penalty on the Panthers. And that was an unsportsmanlike. Logan Wright looking for the hole and just runs right up in it. Big run by Logan Wright. When he gets ahead of steam, you better be ready to buckle that chin strap if you're going to step in there and try to tackle him.
And a big thing for Wright throughout the year is always yards after contact. Watch him absorb the first hit right here from Lane and keeps on trucking for additional yards. Would have been a first down, but the false start makes
That's
a 2nd
right.
and 2.
2nd down and 2. A 13-yard pickup right there. Right now with 53 yards on 10 carries. Going to get it again, and he's going to be a little bit short of the first down as he leans his body forward to the 29.
That time he had nowhere to go. He managed to get a yard, though.
Let's see if they pick up the first down here. They will. Let's see with 3 timeouts now, and after picking up the first down, whether they try to get the ball downfield and at least try to squeeze a field goal out of the end of this first half.
Well, the Eagles have all 3 of their timeouts, so we'll see when they will use one and if they decide to go for another deep pass.
They're playing very deliberately here, though. Another handoff. Doesn't look like they're in any kind of a hurry here. Jalen White with the run. Tackle made by Javon Dennis. Under a minute to play here in the first half. Jalen White going to stay in the game.
They've taken their chances and picked their spots when needed. I wouldn't be surprised if they just run the clock out or now try to go for a deep play.
And here comes the pass, and caught and blown up immediately. That was Derwin Burgess with the catch. Young man that the coaching staff has consistently singled out as a bright spot in this Georgia Southern offense. Freshman out of Riverdale, Georgia High School. Burgess again. Back-to-back catches for Burgess up to the 46. And let's see if the Eagles burn a timeout here.
Timeout.
They are
Georgia
now.
Southern,
The one thing I'm
It'll be
noticing
30 seconds.
is the offensive line coach, Jeep Wade, really just giving it to his O-line. You see here Tomlin once again going to the freshman. Great space for Burgess. And surprised that the Eagles waited till now with 9 seconds to go to call their first timeout. If they were, I'm not sure if they were going to be more aggressive. They wanted to be more aggressive. They could have called a timeout before to save some more time. I'm surprised they called a timeout now because with 9 seconds, they could have just run the clock out and went to the locker room for 7-0 lead.
Definitely, Danny could have done a better job of time management right there. But I think after having success on back-to-back passes to Burgess, that kind of changed their mind about trying to get some points here. But again, they probably could have done a little better job of time management. Now you're at a place where you're going to get one shot to maybe get the ball down to the 30-yard line and try a long field goal.
Let's see, Burgess.
You need about 25 yards.
Yeah, Burgess out there on the far left, Amari Jones in. and Caleb Hood as your receivers. So you have 3 receivers out there. They're going to make it 4 with Bo Johnson on the left side. So you're definitely going to pass.
Tomlin hit as he throws and nearly intercepted by Benzial at the 50-yard line.
And I think that's why they weren't aggressive earlier,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
they've had their moments where things didn't go well for them. You go back to the 4th and goal at the 1, and Tomlin hit on the throw by Hardrick Willis there.
Yep.
That's only the second incompletion for Tomlin, and it was almost the second interception for Tomlin there.
So now 3 seconds, they're just going to go into get to the locker room formation. And they do. They take the knee, and that's the end of the first half. 266 yards of offense for the Eagles in the first half. 171 in the air. They'll head to the locker room with a 7-0 lead on Georgia State. Ready for the start of the third quarter in Statesboro. The Georgia Southern Eagles with a 7-0 lead on Georgia State. Danny, let's take a look at the Sun Belt scoreboard today. Of course, the week started on Thursday night with Coastal Carolina's win over Troy, 35-28. How about Louisiana, 45-0 whitewashing of Texas State today. And Levi Lewis, 3 more touchdown passes, 65 for his career, breaks Jake Delhomme's record.
Well, we've always talked about how strong and tough the East Division is, but in the West Division, it's always been Louisiana, and I don't want to say it's a safe lock now to go to the conference championship, but already undefeated so far, and a big 45-0 win over Texas State.
App State scored 49 first-half points and rolled over ULM 59-28. And in the third quarter, South Alabama with a 28-10 lead on Arkansas State.
With Coastal coming to Statesboro next Saturday, it'll be interesting to see how they fare against the Eagles and how the East is going to look, especially if Georgia State can find a way to come out in the second half and take over. There'll be a 3-way tie, but App would own the tiebreaker with wins over Coastal and Georgia State already.
Absolutely, and as you take a look at the conference standings, also reminding you that Georgia Southern and Georgia State are both still in a spot where they can become bowl eligible. It's going to be difficult. They got to almost win out, but both teams still have that on the table, and so tonight's ball game is big in that regard as well.
It's never over until it's over, and for Georgia Southern, when you have 2 weeks of rest, you use that time to really focus in to finish the season on a high note. There's still plenty amount of time for the Eagles to really go on a deep run.
And so the Panthers once again call fair catch. The Panthers have only 11 kick return yards the entire season. They have fair caught every kick return except for one, therefore taking the ball at the 25. The Panthers coaching staff, led by Sean Elliott, kind of making that decision that, hey, look, the analytics say if we just fair catch, we're going to get the ball at the 25. That's probably, generally speaking, going to be better than any return we get.
There are some teams that really like to focus on special teams as a big part of their game, and for Georgia State, they just rather focus on their offense, and it's worked out for them lately in the last 2 games with wins.
Granger throws the ball out here, incomplete, overthrew Terrence Dixon.
It's Najee Thompson on the coverage. Thompson was a receiver and then moved to cornerback with the injuries to the Eagles secondary. Flag on the play. I heard the last thing he said, throwing the ball out of bounds, so I think there could have been a call for intentional grounding, but there was an intended receiver, so instead it'll be just an incompletion, 2nd and 10.
Tucker Gregg, number 26, 7 carries, 31 yards in that first half. They try to go to Pinckney right there. Gets broken up by Tyler Bride.
The rolling on the field is an incomplete pass. It's 3rd down.
Expect Tyler Bride to be more involved in the second half. Pinckney had it, but right at the very end, Bride knocked it out.
Bride with 3 solo tackles, 2 TFL, a PBU in that first half. A very strong first half for the Eagles cornerback, and now it's going to be 3rd down and 10. blitz is coming. They pick it up. Long throw by Granger to the sideline and incomplete. Najee Thompson was out there on the coverage of Jamias Cradle, or Jakias Cradle, pardon me. And it's going to be 4th down and a quick 3 and out for the Panthers.
Eagles cornerbacks leading the charge in the first drive back on the field to start the second half. You have to expect that Georgia Southern has to have some momentum coming back out with a 7-0 lead.
Panthers used up only 19 seconds. Hayes, the deep punt, is going to be taken by Hood. A chance to return. Got a block. And Hood's going to slide down. Let's see, their forward progress is going to spot him at about the 33. And so the Eagles come out on offense with a 7-0 lead after this timeout. Eagles, as the Eagles come out on offense, Danny, let's take a revisit on your keys to victory.
Well, one thing the Eagles have done so far, they have played faster and more physical throughout the first half. They really put pressure on Georgia State. But for Georgia State, they've been able to stop the running game. That was one of their keys. And Georgia Southern normally averaging over 200 yards on the ground, just 93 yards total so far.
Handoff goes to Logan Wright, and a big hole for big Logan Wright. Breaks out of another tackle, and Wright all the way down to the 30-yard line. 37-yard run for Logan Wright.
The Panthers did stop the run in the first half. First play out in the second half for Georgia Southern, a big run from Wright. At 230 pounds, that's a hard guy. You got to wrap him up, breaking just tackles until at the very end, Jordan Venzial took him down.
They'll spot it at the 33, so a 34-yard run by Logan Wright on the Eagles' first offensive snap of the second half. Pitch, and that's Burgess, his third touch of the game. Jashawn Taylor making the tackle for the Panthers.
Doug Roos mentioned that they had trouble getting Burgess the ball, but he can stretch the field and make people miss, and they're trying to utilize him early in the second half. And that time, just a 2-yard gain.
2nd down and 8 from the 31. 14 first downs for the Eagles to the Panthers 8. And now Gerald Green. And Green still going as Lane's trying to tackle the football. And Green at the same time down to the 25.
You'll see more of Georgia State's leaders step up throughout the second half. And Tavius Lane was right there on the tackle again. And Green's shoe came off at the very end, too.
So Logan Wright comes back in for him, and Jalen White comes in, too.
3rd and 2. I would say they give the ball to Logan Wright. Yeah, Bo Johnson in the backfield, too, left of Tomlin.
Logan Wright has the first down and more. Down to the 22-yard line. Eagles with the touchdown lead and trying to double it here early in this third quarter.
It's rare when you see the 3-back formation and you see misdirections from Johnson and White to open up some space inside for Logan Wright to run through. And he got the first.
Logan Wright, 14 carries, 92 yards rushing. 2 catches for 40 yards. Little running room for Wright that time as Hardrick Willis makes the tackle for the Panthers.
There was nowhere to go for Georgia Southern that time. You had both your outside linebackers pressed in like they were about to blitz and just loading up that box. And Willis was there on the stop.
2nd down and 10, 308 yards of offense for the Eagles. Nearly 200 yards more than the Panthers here early in this third quarter. Rush, Tomlin avoids it, intercepted inside the 5-yard line. Chris Moore, the safety, bringing it back. There's a flag out. Likely a block in the back, but another interception for this Panthers defense. Chris Moore, the transfer from Virginia.
It's a great adjustment from Georgia State. Georgia Southern ran that play in the first half where they go with the play action.
There is no foul on the play for an illegal block in the back. First down.
So no flag, but they see when Tomlin runs up and steps back, they know pass. And as soon as Tomlin went back, the secondary read that one well. You had man-on-man coverage on the left side, and Moore was there with the help. That's the second pick. So 3 incompletions for Tomlin and 2 of them interceptions.
So they'll spot the ball at the 31-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Panthers following the interception by Moore. Panthers have not played a game that's been decided by less than 10 points all season. The Auburn game, 10-point loss on the Plains, was tight late. But other than that, everything has been a double-digit game, and here the Panthers find themselves in a tight touchdown contest in the third quarter. That was Greg on the carry.
When it's a rivalry or not a rivalry, when it's games like this, things tend to go differently than usual.
8th all-time meeting. Panthers lead at 4-3, including a 30-24 win last season in Atlanta when the Panthers scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to pull it out. That catch there by Jamari Thrash will move the sticks up to the 43.
Your third reception.
They've got that screen formation again with Payne, the tight end, out there to try to have 2 blockers. Instead, it's a decoy, and Granger stopped at the 46.
That's really the first time Granger has run the ball. I mean, he was sacked earlier in the first half. We haven't seen much of the quarterback run, but Granger can run the ball. He had 357 yards entering tonight.
Had 107 yards rushing last week against Texas State. That was his first rush of the game. Payne gets upended. And hopefully, I think that's Tyler Bride who went submarine to make that tackle, and he has not gotten off the field.
Good pressure from Postway there. Oh.
Yeah, Tyler Bride, he took a hit to the helmet. And he might have gotten knocked out on that play. His head hit full speed by the leg of Aubrey Payne. And while they tend to Tyler Bride, we'll step aside. They continue to work on Tyler Bride, a contingent of medical personnel out there. They do have him up on a stretcher. We saw on the replay he took a pretty violent blow to the head. The knee of Aubrey Payne, the receiver, struck him in the head. You see the Eagles players running out there to be around him. And you see the medical personnel now telling the players to get back. Saw some things I hadn't seen before. They cut off his jersey and removed his shoulder pads. But that might have just been because they didn't want to move his head and his helmet. That might have just been the best way to get the shoulder pads off of him.
I don't know. They were very responsive to get out there to him. And we did see he was conscious. You saw his hands moving, and he was responsive to the medical team.
And now you see the Georgia State players obviously concerned as well out there and giving a round of applause to Tyler Bride as he is being. You see him lift up his arm there. That's a great sign.
Yeah.
He was able to lift his arm and signal to his teammates, the Panthers, the entire crowd here at Paulson Stadium. But you can see they have immobilized his neck, so there's no movement there. Obviously, that's the concern anytime you have a blow to the head, the neck region.
Yeah, on that replay, we saw Bride leaning down to make the tackle and collided right with the knee of the Georgia State receiver.
So we'll effort to bring you any kind of update that we might receive. Highly doubtful that we'll receive any kind of update. But you can see that he is moving. That's a great sign that he is moving. His eyes are open, and he's talking with them. Looks like he's even smiling and giving a thumbs up. So that's great. See the medical personnel continuing to carry on the conversation with him, and he's responding. You can see his lips moving, so he's able to respond to the commands and the instructions from the medical personnel. So
I think the big thing is that they wanted to keep his head and neck stable. That's why they didn't want him to get up.
That's why they cut the jersey off and removed the pads. That's right. So certainly our prayers with Tyler Bryde and his family. Once again reminded that football is a violent collision sport. So we're still waiting for the medical personnel to clear. They're off the field, but in the back of the end zone there, probably too close to the playing field still for play to continue here.
I think the important thing for Bryde is that he is conscious. He is communicative with the medical personnel. Don't want to speculate, but our thoughts and prayers are with Tyler Bryde.
Yep. So it's going to be 3rd down and 4 for the Panthers once we resume play with the ball at the 49-yard line. This will be the 5th play of the drive, the Panthers having moved from their 31-yard line. And you see still the stop signal from our referee, Wayne Winkler, until the entire medical team has left the corner of the end zone. You can see that the van is just right off the back of the end zone. You can't play a football game with a medical cart and ambulance still right there. So that's the holdup at this point.
Referee also having words with talking to the field ops personnel.
So it looks like we're ready to resume play, and certainly, again, our prayers are with Tyler Bryde. The encouraging observation is that he was mobile, moving his arms, he was talking, he was conscious. So back to live action. Granger takes the snap. Hands off Tucker Gregg. He's got the first down to the 41-yard line.
Simple handoff up the middle, and pretty much the C parted open. I mean, great job by the O-line and great blocking by Shamarius Gilmore, the left guard, to push that defensive line member for Georgia Southern out the way.
Running option, toss goes to Lewis, the wide receiver who circled around. Najee Thompson making the tackle, but that'll be another first down for the Panthers. That'll be their 11th of the game. So always very interesting, Danny, when you have a traumatic event like that, how a team responds to that. Granger trying to run for just the second time, slipped on the cutback.
It's challenging. It's hard. It's hard to see something like that and try to reset your mind back to the game at hand. And sometimes it takes a minute. And yeah, we'll just see how both these teams respond, especially Georgia Southern here.
2nd down and 9. Granger stands in the pocket, delivers a strike downfield to Roger Carter, the tight end. 1st and goal at the 2.
Carter would have had a touchdown if he didn't go down on the catch, but still just great throw from Granger. Plenty of time in the pocket. On the left side, there was nobody covering Carter on the outside. You had 2 corners over there, but it wasn't man on man.
1st and goal from the 2-yard line for the Panthers. They're trying to tie this game in the 3rd quarter. Gregg got stuck in the backfield, lunges forward, and that's a touchdown. Tucker Gregg with the 2nd effort after being hit behind the line of scrimmage. Lunges forward for the score, and it's 7-6.
For a moment there, like Quinn Williams was about to break the play up. He was untouched going to the backfield, but Gregg just managed to power his way through. And an extra point will even things up here in Statesboro.
Noel Ruiz on for the PAT to try to even the score. Colasurdo, the backup quarterback, 3rd-team quarterback, is the holder. And the snap from Glauser is good, and so is the kick, and we're tied at 7. 2-yard touchdown run by Tucker Gregg. And we're tied at 7 in Statesboro. Tucker Gregg, 10 carries, 43 yards, 2-yard touchdown run just a few moments ago to tie up the score 7-7. And Tucker Gregg is a great story out of Murray County High School up in northwest Georgia. He basically recruited Georgia State. He was not getting any offers, and he kept sending tape, sending emails, kept knocking on the door until the Panthers finally said, okay, come on. He walked on, obviously earned a scholarship, and now the starting running back for the Panthers in his senior year. And Murray County, by the way, the alma mater of Louisiana head coach Billy Napier. Kick's going to be taken a yard deep in the end zone, and Hood will take a knee.
You have to appreciate the consistency from Gregg just to stick with it. That was the one school that he wanted to go to, and he kept knocking on the door and had an opportunity to improve himself and earn a scholarship. It's always a great story to see in college football.
Yeah, I host Recruiting 2021 every week on Georgia Public Broadcasting, Friday nights at 7 o'clock. And one of the things that stands out about me is as expansive as the recruiting process is, and, you know, the big industry that it is, the 4 and 5 stars and all that kind of stuff, there's still a ton of players that slip through the cracks all the time. We were talking about Brooks Pangle out of your alma mater, Greenbrier High School, who's having a fabulous season. He's looking for offers.
And you can imagine how recruiting is going to open up when you add those additional teams in the Sun Belt Conference, how those states are going to start having players have an opportunity in the Sun Belt Conference.
Well, there's no doubt about it. When we were talking to Sean Elliott about expansion this week, at that time when we talked to him, the 2 schools that were on board were Marshall was Southern Miss and Old Dominion, and he talked about that specifically. Well, that opens up Virginia. That opens up Mississippi for us from a recruiting standpoint, and I'm sure every school in the Sun Belt feels the same way.
Yeah, it's a great area to recruit up there in Virginia. And now West Virginia with Marshall.
And Logan Wright up to the 37-yard line. I know my partner on the Sun Belt baseball tournament, John Gregory, who was a star quarterback at Marshall. He's thrilled that the Thundering Herd, his alma mater, now plays in the Sun Belt, or will be playing in the Sun Belt in the not-too-distant future.
2023 is when things will be set, and we'll see if James Madison makes a jump as well.
Another program, just like Georgia Southern, just like App, that were FCS powers who moved up to FBS into the Sun Belt.
And for Georgia Southern men's basketball, their former coach, Mark Byington, went to James Madison.
That's right.
So it's great to see him back in the Sun Belt. Oh, what a hit.
Yeah, Hood holds on to the catch at the 42-yard line after the hit by Bryquise Brown, the corner.
Georgia Southern trying to make some progress and answer back after the Georgia State touchdown. It's all about how you're able to react and respond.
And one more comment about the Sun Belt expansion. I really believe that the Sun Belt has put themselves in a position to where coming out of this entire expansion process, they could be the #1 Group of 5 conference in the country.
I believe it.
Handoff, Gerald Green trying to get to the outside, makes a couple of men miss, outruns Thomas Gore, the nose guard, and out close to the 50-yard line and across it to the 49 and a first down.
Green using a burst of speed, bouncing to the outside, breaking one tackle, another, and was able to get outside for more. Final thing for me about the Sun Belt expansion, I mean, the AACs have had teams leading out with a premier Group of 5 conference, but now things are shifting in college football. The Sun Belt is in prime position to be the go-to school conference,
Yeah, 1st and 10 from the 49-yard line. And Green going to be tackled for a loss. Dante Wilson was there, the nose guard, all-conference nose guard out of Jefferson, Georgia. #1 team in 4A took a loss last night. Big upset next to last weekend of the regular season in high school football in the state of Georgia.
It seemed like that play was just blown up by Georgia State. Green had nowhere to go and got eaten up by about 4 or 5 Panthers.
2nd down and 13. That's the 3rd TFL for the Georgia State defense today. Long throw and catch by Hood at the 46.
Somehow, some way, Hood was able to hang on. Play action here from Georgia Southern. For a moment there, I thought the Panthers defender may have gotten a piece of it and Brykees Brown, but somehow Hood found a way to hang on.
Forward motion, spots the ball at the 44. So 3rd down and 5. Eagles 5 of 7 on 3rd downs in this game. Rush is coming. Tomlin stands in there, delivers, and going to be short of the first down at the 42-yard line on the catch by Amari Jones. That's the 3rd catch for Jones, but the first since he had back-to-back catches in the first quarter.
I think Jones has wanted that one. It seemed like on the throw from Tomlin, he was throwing out to Bo Johnson, but Jones was able to leap. It was only a 3-yard reception, and Georgia Southern didn't convert the 4th and goal. But 4th and 2, we'll see what they do. They're now 9 for 20 on the year in 4th down conversions.
4th and 2 from the 41 to the air. They will go. A high throw, and Burgess cannot hold on to it. And Tavius Lane broke it up, and the ball's going to go over on downs.
First down.
Lane again coming up clutch for Georgia State. Surprisingly, the Eagles wanted to pass on 4th and 2. And it seemed like Tomlin was about to overthrow Burgess, but he extends up. Just could not come down with it. You see the left hand from Lane comes in to knock that ball out.
And we mentioned a few moments ago that the Panthers had not played a game that was decided by less than 10 points the entire season. The Eagles, on the other hand, are 1-2 in games decided by a touchdown or less. The season opening win against Gardner-Webb, and then the losses here at home against Louisiana and on the road at Troy. So Panthers back on offense in a tie ball game. Granger running option and going to be stopped by Eldrick Robinson.
Prior to this game, the most points the Panthers have scored, or the least amount of points the Panthers have scored, was against was against Army in the season opener when they only scored 10. So another neck-and-neck ball game here tonight where the score is close.
That was the team-leading 8th tackle of the game for Robinson. He's got 4 solos. Granger in the pocket, throws short, nearly intercepted as Tyrell Davis was coming up from behind, and Cradle could not come up with the low throw. Now it's 3rd down and long.
There have been a lot of men for Georgia Southern stepping up in the last few weeks. Tyrell Davis is one of them. He got things going for Georgia Southern back against Arkansas State. Getting an interception. That was one of the first turnovers or interceptions for Georgia Southern this season.
Yeah, Georgia Southern team that led FBS with 25 turnovers last season. Heavy rush, and Granger's going to take a sack. Zion McGee. Second sack for the Eagles defense tonight, and it's 4th down.
A lot of positions are too deep, but for Georgia Southern, they have some 3 deep spots, and one of them is an outside linebacker position. McGee comes in for the sack, but also you got to give credit to Dylan Springer for getting first contact on Granger.
Yeah, Springer blew up the left side of the offensive line protection. Hayes punting, kicks it away from the 25, and Hood retreating makes the fair catch at the 16-yard line. And that's where the Eagles go back on offense in this tie 7-7 game. Danny, if I told you we'd be tied 7-7 with 2.5 minutes to play in the third quarter, would you have believed me?
You know, I would have said no at first, but given the circumstances that Georgia Southern's had plenty of rest to work their way back in, actually, no, I would say no, because you expect a fresh team.
Could you make up your mind?
Can they make up their mind if it's a rivalry or not? I mean, things can always change when Georgia Southern and Georgia State play each other, whether it's in Statesboro or in Atlanta.
It's been a fun game so far. 1st and 10 for the Eagles from the 16, and Jalen White pulls his way forward, picks up about 5 on the play. And again, the Eagles playing without J.D. King tonight, their senior running back. They're resting that knee that, of course, he had surgery on in the offseason. And that is the 3rd carry for White this evening. Leading rusher, Logan Wright, no surprise, 17 carries for 104. Jalen White again slams into the defense. And 3rd down and about 2, maybe 3 coming up for Georgia Southern. This is right in their wheelhouse. We had this conversation with Doug Roos. You know, he was talking about the biggest problem for them had been on those 1st and 2nd downs, not getting the yards you need. And I asked, where is the wheelhouse for? He said 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. That's where we want to be.
He mentioned that they had poor 1st and 2nd down production. 3rd and 4 is good, and it is able to use a lot of their playbook.
Gerald Green, no, the run instead by Tomlin, and a 1st down up to the 37-yard line.
Tomlin known as a dual threat, but more focused on his passing throughout this game. This time, found plenty of space, faked the handoff. Great option run from Georgia Southern, trying to spin out of a tackle for more.
And give Doug Roos, the OC, a lot of credit. He had really set up that play several times tonight, handing the ball to Green on that sweep, and that time Tomlin read the play well on the RPO and kept it for the 1st down run. Logan Wright gets wrapped up by Akeem Smith. Big number 97 stopped him at the line of scrimmage.
Look at the size of Smith, 285 pounds, and really just pulled that running back behind the line of scrimmage. Where are you going?
You love it when it looks like the helmet's just getting ready to pop off their head. It's so tight, and so is that jersey. That might have been the final play, and it was the final play of the 3rd quarter as the teams head to their respective sidelines. And the first 45 minutes of this game are history. We'll head to the 4th. It's 7-7 here in Statesboro. The start of the 4th quarter tradition here at Paulson Stadium, when they turn out the lights and all the fans pull out their cell phones to Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. And here we start the 4th quarter. Matt Stewart along with Danny Wan. Thanks for joining us. Halloween Eve in the Borough. And a 7-7 score between the Panthers and the Eagles. Georgia Southern on offense, and Tomlin runs it up to the 41 and picks up 5 on the play.
This has all the elements of a great football game. This is the first time the Eagles have played at home in 4 weeks. It's homecoming weekend. You have your in-state rival to some in Georgia State in town. And it's a chilly October night.
Tomlin throws behind Logan Wright. He got separated from the ball. Bryquise Brown came up and put a hit on him.
Wright spent his time focusing on trying to hang on to possession and just got lit up from behind by Brown.
Yeah, Brown's given up 50 pounds in that matchup. Bryquise Brown is the 180-pound corner who put the lick on the 230-pound running back.
Well, I mentioned you got to tackle him full force to take him down, and Brown definitely doing that on the play.
Well, it helps Danny when he doesn't see it coming.
Yeah.
He didn't see it coming.
Able to catch him off guard.
So Beck standing at his 26-yard line to punt, and the play gets blown dead.
Any false start on Georgia Southern here.
False start. Kicking team, number 21. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
How strange is this? It's a 7-7 game, and this is just Anthony Beck's second punt of the night.
Georgia Southern's been known to run the clock a lot with the running game, and Georgia State did the same throughout the game as well.
Hayes has punted 6 times for the Panthers, but just a real anomaly in my mind that you're in a 7-7 game, but this is just the second punt for Georgia Southern. That's a rainmaker. And the fair catch made in traffic by Terrence Dixon at the 18-yard line, and that's where the Panthers are going to go back on offense here early in the fourth quarter.
You have to realize for Georgia Southern, they've gone for it on 4th down a couple of times. You have 2 interceptions, so there hasn't really been much chances for Beck to punt there until tonight, the second time.
So here you go, the Panthers and the Eagles. This is a big ball game too. I know you look at the overall records, the Panthers at 3-4 and Georgia Southern at 2-5, and you're probably not thinking bowl eligibility, but it's still on the table for both. The Eagles have to win 4 of their final 5, and the Panthers have to win 3 of their final 5. So a loss here tonight would be very difficult for both of those teams. Jamias Williams with a big run up to the 46-yard line. 29-yard gain.
The burst of speed from the redshirt team. That hole opened up, and Williams just got through, and it was a foot race, and multiple Eagles spreading around to take him down to 46.
Jamias Williams, who's a 4-star athlete coming out of Grayson High School in the Atlanta area, went to South Carolina as a cornerback, but I always thought, having seen him play in high school, that he was probably a better running back than he was a corner.
That's the great thing about just having a pure athlete that can do a little bit of everything. You start out as a defensive back in South Carolina, you make a position change, and you become a running back, and you're still able to take off and make a great contribution to the team.
2nd down and 9. Granger in the pocket, guns to the sideline. It's caught by Roger Carter, the tight end. Second big catch for Roger Carter tonight, and that gets the ball on the opposite side of the 50 and all the way down to the 25.
Once you get the run game going, you're able to open up the playbook and throw it downfield, and that's what Georgia State did. Instead, play action and plenty of time by Granger. The O-line has done a tremendous job protecting Granger throughout the night.
Jamias Williams all the way down to the 16. They had spotted it at the 23, so a 7-yard pickup for Jamias Williams right there as the Panthers trying to claim their first lead of the game.
This is the right decision by the Panthers. Stick with the high hand and keep Williams out there.
Up tempo too, not making any changes, and Jamias Williams again down to the 10, and that's a first down for the Panthers. That's their 15th of the game.
When you make 2 big plays back-to-back, you want to keep the defense off guard, so it makes sense for Georgia State to go with the hurry-up offense here.
Eagles just made a mass substitution, brought 5 new guys on the field. Williams down to the 4.
That's a great job by Georgia Southern there. They realized that the hurry-up offense is going for Georgia State. You got to make a massive substitution switch, and they make a great stop on 1st down.
Looked like a hockey line change. 2nd down and 6. Keeper Granger. Granger down to the 3. That was Tyrell Davis again, who came up from the safety position to hit him behind the line of scrimmage, slow him down. Now it's going to be 3rd and goal.
Panthers loaded up the box. We haven't seen much of the quarterback run from Georgia State. That time Granger almost got through for a touchdown.
Okay, it's not 3rd and goal. It's going to be 3rd and about 2. because the Panthers can pick up a first down at the 2-yard line. Let's call it 3rd and 1. Play clock down to 5. And Gregg, touchdown Panthers, and Georgia State has their first lead of the game as Tucker Gregg scores his 2nd rushing touchdown of the night.
That's when you bring in your power back at the goal line. Gregg at 220 pounds just absorbs the hit by Williams, and Williams upset there. Just a great run from Georgia State.
A high-tempo, 8-play, 83-yard drive. And the Panthers have their first lead of the night coming 4 minutes into the 4th quarter. Ruiz, they get the snap down, kick up and good, and a 14-7 lead for Georgia State. So the Panthers drive the length of the field to grab their first lead of the night. Blake Carroll leading a Georgia State defense that has held the Eagles to 7 points tonight. 6 tackles. He has the Panthers 1 quarterback sack, and he has 1 of their 2 interceptions as they get ready to head back out on defense after the offense just gave Georgia State their first lead of the night.
The sack and the interception came in the first half, so we'll see what Carroll can do in the 4th quarter trying to hold on to this 14-7 lead for the Panthers.
Michael Hayes, the punter, will kick off for Georgia State. Coming down at the 5 and returnable by Caleb Hood. And Hood will step out of bounds at the 26. That's where the Eagles go back on offense. And we'll see if they get back to what was successful for them, Danny, in the first half. 171 yards of passing for Justin Tomlin in that first half, but only 15 here in the second half, and he did throw another pick.
And with the 2nd interception, he's been pretty efficient, 12 of 17. I'll be interested to see if Georgia Southern decides to run the ball more here on this drive or try to move the ball upfield to the passing game.
We have not seen the freshman Cam Ransom in the game either, but it was pretty apparent to me in our conversation with Doug Roos that this was going to be Tomlin's game, and we weren't probably not going to see Ransom unless something happened to Tomlin.
Ransom has made progression throughout the year, but Tomlin's the guy right now.
Long throw and a little too far for Amari Jones.
And staying on that just for a moment, they have seen him make progress throughout the season, but when they've gone through 2-minute drills in practice, there's just been situations that he hasn't seen before. I mean, that's the thing about being a freshman, as adjusting to the collegiate game and seeing new schemes and defenses, and Tomlin just has that experience to be the quarterback number 1.
Tomlin was 9 of 11 in the first half, but he is just 3 for 7 here in the second half. Gerald Green stopped at the 26. No gain on the play. And now it's going to be 3rd down and long.
Tomlin pitched it out in time before he got hit, but Green really nowhere to run. This is great defense from Georgia State here. And Antavius Lane has been one of the key pieces on the defense so far tonight.
He's been a crazy man tonight. That was his 9th tackle, 7 of them solo with 2 PBU. 3rd down and 10. Eagles 6 of 10. 3rd and 10's not their wheelhouse, though. Long throw, but that's a completion to Burgess. And that is going to be short of the first down, however.
We spoke with Eagles offensive coordinator Doug Roos. He said that the team has been in too many 3rd and long situations. It's hard for anybody, and they've been in it way too much due to poor 1st and 2nd down production. And that one shows from the Eagles on this drive. A 3 and out, they're going to have to punt.
3rd catch of the game for Derwin Burgess. But now Beck out to punt on consecutive possessions for the first time tonight. Standing at his 18. Line drive kick. Fair catch is called and made by Dixon at the 24. That's where the Panthers go back on offense. And now it's going to be incumbent on the Georgia Southern defense to try to get a 3-and-out here. Short week for the Panthers coming up. They'll have the Thursday night game at Louisiana and then at Coastal Carolina. Their final 2 games coming at home against Arkansas State and Troy. And again, the Panthers have to win 3 of their 5 remaining games, including tonight, in order to become bowl eligible.
It's going to be a test of strength for Georgia State here for many reasons. You know, not only do you go to Louisiana and Coastal Carolina, I mean, it's the start of a 3-game road trip.
Yep.
And each game has a different element. Your in-state rival tonight, short week against the West Division champions from last year in Louisiana and probably the West Division champions this year. Then Coastal Carolina, who won the East last year and trying to make a play for the East Division this year too.
Yep. Difficult schedule in front of the Panthers here on the road the next couple of weeks. Trying to win this game here tonight. They lead 14-7, and Tucker Gregg with a big run across the 50 and all the way down to the 47-yard line. And you made a great point, Danny, during our timeout. Georgia Southern hasn't quite been the same since Tyler Bride left the field with that injury.
Of course, a big run from Gregg up the middle. The offensive line has done tremendous in creating open gaps for Gregg to run through. But I think when you go to that moment and when both teams came back on the field, Georgia State just was able to go back out, and that's when they scored the touchdown right after.
Not only do you lose Tyler Bride, who was playing a great game up to that point, had played very well. Number 2, it really just kind of sucked some of the momentum and emotion from your team. And now that's what Georgia Southern has to overcome here if they're going to come back and win this game.
There's still plenty of time for the Eagles to fight their way back. But if the Panthers can score here the way they're running the clock down now at 8 minutes, a touchdown here on this drive could seal the deal potentially.
I mean, you look out there right now, they've got Najee Thompson, a former wide receiver who's a number 2 corner starting, who's out there on the field right now, and so is Deontay Bembry, who's listed as a number 3 corner. But the problems right now for the Eagles defense is the Panthers offense and running the ball. We do have a flag out back at the 47. This might be a holding call on Georgia State.
Robinson came through on the tackle. The officials said it was a penalty on Georgia State, so it's going to go back.
It will be a holding call.
Panthers have played a clean game for the most part. That was... Well, they haven't had many penalties.
That's just their third.
It's just their third, yeah.
But that backs them up. Second down now. Ball at the 44. 2nd and 18. And Georgia Southern absolutely cannot let the Panthers score and make this a 2-score game this late. Dedman comes up and makes the tackle after Gregg runs back and gets a lot of that back from that holding call.
One thing I'm noticing, there's not much pressure from the linebacker group for Georgia Southern. There's plenty of space open to run. There you see again, and just Malik Sumter, the center, leading the charge for Gregg to just go downfield.
14 carries, 83 yards for Gregg, and now Jamias Williams, 10 carries, 62 yards, checks in for him. And Panthers are going to burn a timeout as the play clock gets to 4.
Here's another thing that I just mentioned. I just noticed now. Well, we'll go over it after the break, and I'll tell you what I noticed.
A big 3rd down and 8 coming out of the timeout. Fans here at Paulson Stadium on homecoming night trying to rally the defense to a big stop. Blitz coming, Granger hit as he throws, and jump ball and broken up. Tried to get the ball to Pinckney, and Deontay Bembry with the big pass breakup, and it's 4th down.
I'm surprised Granger was able to get that ball off in time. The Eagles sent the house, putting pressure. A beautiful throw and almost a beautiful catch from Pinckney. Heaved it out there. But yeah, Bembry was there, just great coverage. The one thing I was going to mention, Matt, is time of possession. Only 19 minutes and 13 seconds for Georgia State on offense compared to Georgia Southern's 31 minutes. And they've ran just about the same amount of plays. Eagles 61, Panthers 57.
And the punt's going to be down at the 13-yard line. Yeah, that's the anomaly in the stats is that Georgia Southern has held the ball for 12 more minutes but run only 4 more plays than the Panthers. Georgia Southern on offense when we get back. Eagles back on offense from their own 13-yard line with 6.5 to play. There's the ball control numbers that you were talking about. Not a big difference in the plays, but still a big difference time of possession.
With 6:25 left to go, this could be the final possession that the Eagles have a successful drive.
Tomlin running option. And Tomlin up to the 24. Blake Carroll falls on top of him there. That'll be a 1st down. Certainly you would think it's the last possession, Danny, where they get to run their offense as they want to run it. If they don't score here, the next time they get the ball, it would have to be a 2-minute offense.
They also have all 3 of their timeouts left, too.
Pitch goes to Logan Wright. Got a block out there from Caleb Hood. And he picks up 4 or 5 on the play and collides with one of the Panthers over there on the sideline. And a flag out. Where did you see? Was the flag over on the sideline?
On the far side, 21.
Offense number 7.
And they called it on Hood.
I was going to say Wright wouldn't have gotten those extra yards if it wasn't for Hood's blocking, but turns out that blocking was holding.
Yeah,
you can't do that right there. Left hand, just staying right there in the front of the jersey. And Tavius Lane has been a force on the defensive side. I understand trying to stop him any way you can, but not that way.
That's the unfortunate reality of a lot of times, regardless of the team, you see a wide receiver out there and they throw a good block, they cheated a little bit.
Probably holding.
So 1st and 20. Play action. Tomlin threw it behind Hood. And Bryquise Brown nearly had a pick.
It seemed like Tomlin really tried to force that one over there to Hood. Hesitated a moment before he got it out of his hand. Really wanted to get some type of production with it being, now 2nd and 20 after the holding on Hood, from Hood.
Tomlin's numbers, only 4 of 9 in the second half, only 22 yards in the air, and another interception. Heavy rush, pocket still there for Tomlin. Now it's breaking down. He's being chased by Willis. And he's going to throw complete to Hood, who came back on the play, helped out his quarterback, the wide receiver did, and it's up to the 29. Now it's going to be 3rd down. And a man down for the Panthers.
Tomlin really wanted to get that ball over there. You see him just with plenty of time in the pocket, rolling out to his left. Dumps out the Hood so you get some gain. And Tavius Lane on the tackle, and they have hurt him a bit.
And Lane's had an incredible game on defense for the Panthers tonight with the 9 total tackles, 7 solo, and 2 pass breakups.
One thing that's also been a struggle for Georgia Southern this year has been scoring in the second half. Now, that did change a few weeks ago against Troy, where they were down by a big margin early and fought their way back in the second half and only lost that game 27-24. So they've had made some improvements, but have yet to score in the second half.
399 yards of offense, so they've rolled up a bunch of yards, but they haven't been able to convert them into points other than a 17-yard pass to Bo Johnson in the second quarter. Tomlin trying to go to Johnson right there, and now it's going to be fourth down.
Threw it too low, and the Eagles are going to punt. Anthony Beck has a big leg, so he's going to give it his all.
Really kind of a mystery. Tomlin was really sharp in that first half, Danny, as sharp as he was in the first half, as off the mark he has been in the second half.
The tale of two halves, and that's what I just talked about with Georgia Southern in their second half production this year. What a kick from Beck.
Bomb kick from Beck. That thing kicks inside the 10, and the Eagles are going to down it at the 9. Wow. What a kick by Beck. Booted the air out of that. And Langston, the snapper, was the guy who got down on top of it at the 9-yard line.
Well, I mentioned Anthony Beck can send it deep. He has a 60-yard punt. That one was 63 yards. Had a 60-yard already this season, but how about that? A new personal best, at least for this year.
So the Georgia Southern defense back out there. The Panthers on offense with 4:35 to go. Georgia State will no doubt try to put together a long drive here and kill the clock. Eagles do have all 3 timeouts remaining. Don't have to use them yet. And Tucker Gregg got stopped in his tracks by Benz Josue.
Josue's made some plays on the outside throughout the night for Georgia Southern. And this is where defensive guys have to step up for the Eagles here. Yes, you have all 3 of your timeouts, but if you can make a stop here at 3 now after Beck puts you in a good spot, gives you a chance when you go back out on offense if you have that opportunity.
Clock continues to run. The Panthers doing their best to bleed the clock. They still have 10 on the play clock right here. And Gregg, nothing doing again. Eagles defense right there to stop it. Michael Edwards in on that tackle.
In a situation like this, you see Edwards right there just waited for his moment. The Panthers are letting the clock run out, run all the way down. So they may not even try for the first day. They might run it again just to take some more time off the clock. We'll see what they do.
Third and 6, they'll whip it out there. And Cradle dropped by Najee Thompson in his fourth down.
The Panthers tried to go back to what worked earlier in the first half with those wide receiver screens, but Thompson read it very well. Was able to break through the block up from Payne. That's a big 3 now for the Eagles defense.
Eagles should get good field position out of this.
Been a fun night in Statesboro between the Eagles and Panthers. And for Georgia Southern, it doesn't stop tonight. They're back in Paulson next week against Coastal Carolina. That's going to be a big matchup before they go on the road against Texas State the week after. But how about BYU coming to Statesboro on the 20th?
Huge non-conference game the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and then that, of course, will be the final home game of the season. Then on the road against App on the final Saturday of the regular season. And again, including this game.
Now, App State's a rivalry to Georgia Southern.
Yes.
That's been a rivalry that's gone all the way back when they were both in the SoCon. And
right.
I'm happy that this game's been moved to the final week of the season where it should be, where it's rivalry week.
Hayes punts it out of the end zone. And Caleb Hood comes up to the 42 to make the catch. And the Eagles have great field position. And they can thank Anthony Beck for that, flipping the field with that 63-yard punt that pinned the Panthers deep. That flipped the field ultimately for the offense that takes over at the 42, needing a touchdown to tie with 3:04 to play.
In comparison, the punt from Hayes only went 29 yards. So you have 3 minutes, 2 timeouts, great field position on the Panthers 42. We'll see how Georgia Southern can capitalize off of it.
So Eagles from the 42. 1st and 10. Tomlin swings it out here to Amari Jones with an open field. Amari Jones bounces off a man and out of bounds finally at the 31-yard line. That'll be a first down for the Eagles. It's their 20th of the night.
You see here, Tomlin runs over, then drops back, decides to go on the flat route from Jones. For a moment there, I thought that last hesitation move by Jones may have made him short of the first down before Progress gave it to him.
They spot it at the 32. It's still good for the first down. Clock running again. Jones in motion. Tomlin going to keep it instead and cut back against the grain. And Tomlin all the way down to the 17-yard line before his forward motion is stopped. And Antavius Lane shoved back at the center, Langmeyer, but no flag was thrown as the officials step in.
He got lucky there, and the Panthers rushed their outside linebacker running in, and that provided extra space for Tomlin to get a first down and then some.
1st and 10 from the 17, and Logan Wright gets stopped right there at the line of scrimmage. And that was Dante Wilson who prevented him from gaining any ground on the play. We go under 2 minutes right now.
This is where the 2-minute drills in practice come in handy and see if they're able to execute.
Eagles, 2 timeouts remaining. Tomlin to the air. It's complete to Amari Jones down to the 10-yard line. And they're going to give him the 9. And now it's going to be 3rd down and long 1 or short 2.
Easy float pass over to Jones. That time.
They spotted him out closer to the 10, so it's going to be 3rd down and 2. 1:46 left in regulation. Right. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
The Panthers loaded up the box, but Wright able to slip through and breaking tackles on his way to the end zone.
9-yard touchdown run for Logan Wright. Rayner on to try to tie it. He does. And with 99 seconds left in regulation, Georgia Southern and Georgia State are tied at 14.
The right guy tried to make the play for the Panthers, and Blake Carroll just too late trying to get to Wright. He already got past. And Wright just absorbing contact. That's what he does best in the running game for the Eagles.
And again, it was the punt by Anthony Beck that flipped the field. That was a big part of that 42-yard touchdown drive for the Eagles. .139 to go. 8th all-time meeting between these two in-state rivals. Panthers lead the all-time series 4-3. Eagles trying to even it up with a victory here tonight. And whoever loses this game as well, not only that, but whoever loses this game as well, the quest for bowl eligibility is going to be seriously damaged.
Be a lot tougher on both sides. I mean, it's even more tougher for Georgia Southern if they lose this game because they're 2-5 right now on the year.
They'd have to run the table.
Yeah.
And the Panthers would have to win 3 of their last 4. Williams with the kickoff, and the Panthers are going to return it. And Quavian White brings it out across the 25. They'll spot it at the 26 or 7. And some shoving going on over there. And the officials keep the hankies in their pockets. No flags are thrown.
Got to let them play it out at this point. But I like the decision from Georgia Southern because you talked about it earlier, Matt, how Georgia State always just wait the fair catch every time, and they didn't put it all the way out to the end zone. They forced the Panthers to try to run it out a little bit.
They did get a +2 on that, so instead of the 25, they start at the 27. Panthers 2 timeouts remaining. Eagles 2 timeouts remaining. And Jamias Williams carries it up to the 39, picks up 11 on the play.
There's a lot of space. You saw a contain on the outside linebacker, and it really gave Williams space to run.
Granger gonna run it and step out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Panthers probably have to get the ball to at least the 30 to have a good shot at a field goal to win the game. Right now, they're about 22 yards away from that. Running that screen again for Cradle, and he picks up the first down as Dixon was blocking for him. Gets it across midfield, down to the 47. That stopped the clock as he ran out of bounds.
That was the big thing, just getting the first down, so a wide receiver screen will do that for Georgia State.
Granger keeps it, dropped in his tracks. Michael Edwards comes up with a big stop, and a timeout's going to have to be called right there by the Panthers.
Michael Edwards made the stop, but Dylan Springer made the first hit that halted the progression of Granger.
Absolutely. So the Panthers have to burn timeout right there, or else they would have lost a lot of time getting back to the line of scrimmage and snapping the ball. So they have 1 timeout remaining, which they probably will try to keep in their back pocket, Danny, for a field goal attempt.
They don't want to use it right out of the gate. So it's 2nd down and 11. The Panthers have been solid in the passing game. Granger 16 for 27, 141 yards. At this point, if you're trying to save your final timeout, you're probably not going to run it as much unless you go for hurry-up offense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at yardage in this game, this has been a win for the Eagles tonight. 441, only 330 for the Panthers, but here we are with 62 seconds left. Panthers have the ball, 2nd down and 11 at the Eagles' 48, probably needing another 18 yards to have a really good shot at a game-winning field goal.
Watch the receiver screen or line up trips left.
Granger gonna run it up the middle, and Granger slides down at the 32-yard line, and the Panthers are close to field goal range here.
They use it as misdirection. When you have trips left, it leaves a lot of open space in the middle of the field, and Granger just had a ton of time to run.
1st and 10 at the 33. Granger gonna run it again. He's definitely in field goal range now as he slides down inside the 25 at the 22.
So the question here is Georgia State try to go for the game-winning touchdown or try to run the clock out a little bit for a field goal?
They got all kinds of options right now.
That's the big thing. They have options. They don't have to make just one decision. They can do one or the other.
Clock is running again. 1 timeout remaining for the Panthers in field goal range. Right up the middle, Jamias Williams going to race into the end zone for the touchdown. (20-14) Georgia State.
Every play, they went up the middle. Whether it was a quarterback run or a running back draw, there was so much space, and Williams being a speedy running back, all he had to do was make one cut, and he was in the end zone.
So Ruiz on for the PAT. 21-14, Panthers on top with 26 seconds remaining. But one way to look at it is by scoring that touchdown, that gives the Eagles one last chance to get the ball back. As the Panthers were clearly within field goal range. If you get the stops there and they kick the field goal with no time left, you lose the game. At least this way, the Eagles do get the ball back, but they got to score a touchdown.
You get one more chance, and they have 2 timeouts. So Georgia Southern definitely going to work the sidelines, but if they want to go in the middle of the field, they have a timeout to burn if needed. All depends on what plays Georgia Southern decides to run here.
But whatever it is, it's got to be quick. Another interesting question is, what will the Panthers' approach be on this kickoff? Do you kick it deep to Hood, give him an opportunity for a big return, or do you try to put this in that no man's land between the 50 and 30-yard line right now? But at the same time, you'd be giving up good field position as well.
I think the latter. Instead, they go with the former.
Yep, they kick it to Hood. He's going to bring it down at the 6. He called fair catch. They'll bring it to the 25. That doesn't lose any time. The benefit on that is that no time comes off the clock. So the Eagles will start from the 25 with 26 seconds to go, 2 timeouts remaining, and needing to score a touchdown to send this game to overtime.
Here's the thing, though. You mentioned that Tomlin's second half production has not been as well as his production in the first half. The Panthers defense did a tremendous job containing him and really making it tough to find his receivers. They've been able to make a big play here and there, but there hasn't been much consistency there in the second half.
He's already thrown for a career-high 225 yards tonight, and he's hit as he throws, and it goes out of bounds. 7 seconds come off the clock. And now you're almost in a spot there, Danny, where you need to reach into your bag of tricks here and come up with something, because it's about that position for the Eagles.
Yeah, 4 receivers out.
Firing, and it's caught by Hood. And Hood runs it up to the 47-yard line. 10 seconds on the clock. And Hood is down on the ground. At least right there with that catch and run, that puts you in a spot, Danny, where you can throw the ball to the end zone.
Hood has the ability to make people miss, so you get him in open space. He gets through 2 defenders, so he's able to move it upfield some. And then got hit.
Well, he kind of tricked Bryce Brown, tricked in the way that Brown thought he was going to try to get to the sideline right there. And instead he flipped to the inside and ran it and picked up another 10 or 15 yards by doing that. So the ball is spotted at the 48. 10 seconds remaining. 1 timeout remaining for Georgia Southern. So my question to you, Danny, is do you try to cut the distance in half? Do you run one play here, maybe try to get it a little bit closer, to say maybe the 25 or 30-yard line, and then take your shot at the end zone? Or do you just take back-to-back shots at the end zone from the 48?
I say that you go with the first option, but here's the thing. If you decide to just get a couple of extra yards, you got to go for the sideline and get out, or you use that final timeout if you go up the middle.
Well, I think you can use that final timeout because you don't need a timeout for a field goal here. You got to score a touchdown.
But that's another thing. If you get in the middle, you have to get down. You can't be trying to make anything extra there. You have to get down and call that final timeout if you don't go out to the sideline.
So here you go, 48 yards away with 10 seconds to go. Tomlin's going to step up and heave it, and it is caught at the 20-yard line. Clock down to 2. Did they get the timeout? They did. So that's exactly what they did. They decided to try to cut the time in half, and Tomlin delivers to Burgess.
That's a good catch. You see Burgess come down, but that's where you have to get down. You can't be trying to get any extra yards. The Panthers are going to try to hold him up from when the clock out. You have to get – you can say that's a freshman mistake there, but still a great catch from the freshman.
It is a great catch. I don't think the mistake hurts you too bad because you're only going to get one more play anyway. So you got 2 seconds, and that's enough to run this final play. And they'll have it at the 21-yard line. So you get your one shot at the end zone from the 21.
Question is Caleb Hood going to be able to make his way back out for that final play? He was hurt. His shoulder went down with his shoulder hurting. He got helped up. And he's back out there, so he's going to try to finish it out.
And let me just throw this out there. Because you got the ball to the 21, you spread that field. It also opens up the possibility that Tomlin could maybe even run it in from the 21 if he had to. Pressure coming. Tomlin gets lit up, and a quarterback sack by the Panthers to end the game, and Georgia State wins it 21-14. How about that for a call by Nate Fuqua, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, to send the pressure on the final play of the game and light up the quarterback and get the victory.
How about that? They sent the house, and Deshaun Taylor just came up and made the game-winning sack.
That's a big call by Fuqua to send the pressure in that situation, because you know when you do that, that means there's going to be man-man coverage on the outside. So you roll the dice that you're going to get the sack, and the Panthers do to end the game 21-14 as Georgia State wins their 5th in the series and now lead the all-time series 5-3.
The way a game ends like that is a statement from the Panthers, and they took this game as a rivalry, and they really brought it to Georgia Southern. They scored all 21 points in the second half. You have to give Georgia Southern credit for fighting back to the very end, but big run by Jamias Williams to seal the deal for the Panthers.
So the Panthers now 4-4. They are 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. They play Thursday night at Louisiana on ESPN. Eagles drop to 2-6, and they will be hosting Coastal Carolina next Saturday at 6 o'clock right here on ESPN+. Once again, the final, Georgia State, a 21-14 victory over Georgia Southern. And now for Danny Waugh and our entire ESPN team, I'm Matt Stewart. Good night from Statesboro, and happy